Hello, I'm Ed Moran from Visionary AI Partners. Today's episode, we're going to be talking to Bo Drake from Drake Real Estate Group in Los Angeles, California. So can you share a little bit about your role in Drake Realty Group and how like a typical day is for you?
Yeah, so my wife and I started Drake Real Estate Group actually in 2015. It was a side business of mine. I was working at a pretty well-known investment development company in Los Angeles, and I was handling acquisitions and asset management. So my job was to locate the right investment deal and then put all the pieces together, whatever the business plan could be. At that time, this was 2012 through 2017 or so. There was a huge ramp up in the value add space. So buying a 1960s, 70s rent control building in Los Angeles, navigating that in itself, and then renovating the property from inside and out. So while I was there, having to hire, whether it be internal property management staff on the team and for that company specifically, sometimes we would hire third-party management companies to handle all of our management. And I had already sort of grown frustrated with that sector of our business for a long time. And it exponentially my frustration levels rose to a level where I basically just said, screw it, I'm gonna start a management company myself. And my wife, who was working for Disney in the marketing department, and she looked at me and just said, "You're crazy. Like, no way. All you do is complain about property management. Why would you go and start this company yourself? That doesn't make any sense. Let's think of something else to do." And I pushed and pushed and pushed and just said, I'm going to do this. If it doesn't work out, what's the loss? It's a low capital, low barrier to entry business because you're offering a service. And at the same time, I always wanted to work for myself and have my own real estate company. And it was, what do I do specifically? And if you don't have significant money, you have to offer a service, in my opinion. So
you could always go back if it doesn't work out because you already have that knowledge.
I had a really good job. I mean, at the time I was 30, early 30s. I had a really good job. And here I am starting the side business. And it was sort of a, let's see what happens. And the catalyst was really, look, I work for this large investment company, and I know how we are treated from a third-party management level, but LA in itself is made up of mostly mom and pop owners. The average size building is 14 units. They're not getting the same level of service that an institution would. And there is a certain level of managing a building that I just thought was acceptable and what the market was for sort of a smaller mom and pop building. So I knew that there was an opportunity within the marketplace. So in 2015, we had our first assignment, and for us, I had a full-time job, and it was nights and weekends for me. At the time, we didn't have kids, and so Katie would handle during the day, and then if there was an emergency, obviously I would jump in and handle it. But then I was working sort of nights and weekends, and one building led to 3, led to 10, and blink of an eye, it's 2017, and we're managing 35 buildings. And, almost 350 units. It was no longer a side business. So I left my job, if you will. And 2019 was our first full year where this was our only responsibilities, our only job. And then we hired our first employee January of 20. And since then, we've grown to now we manage about 3,500 units in and around Los Angeles. And we have a team, whether it be property managers, maintenance, leasing, it's about 25 team members. So my role, as the head of the company at this point in time, I'm very fortunate to have a really good team in place that I'm not necessarily handling the sort of tenants and toilet issues on a daily basis. So now I spend a lot of my time on the phone with clients, strategizing on a go forward basis, how we are managing the building, what we're doing the next 3, 6, 12 months. So a lot of projecting ahead and trying to add value anywhere we can to the properties that we're managing.
Okay. And can you go a little more into the challenges you're facing today, handling so many properties, like into the micro, like you were talking about?
Yeah, obviously the challenges for a small team and managing 3,500 units, the volume of it is challenging in itself. But I would say since COVID, when everyone was locked in their homes, little things around their units became really big issues. And those issues then escalated quickly because for a number of reasons, a lot of things were put in place from cities, whether it be Los Angeles, West Hollywood, Santa Monica, where tenants now have access to the city almost on a speed dial. So not that, I'm advocating for ignoring maintenance items or anything like that, but there's a legit maintenance item, and there's something that, hey, we can get to it when we'll get to it, and we will take care of it. But there's more of a give and take and an understanding of a more rational way of handling certain things. And nowadays, everything is an emergency. And if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you have the threats of the city. And then on top of that, there's just various laws that have been put in place with specific language within notices and protocols. And those are constantly changing. It seems like every 3 months or so, the cities are adding requirements for us landlords when it comes to notices or what needs to be posted on the buildings. And if you're serving a 3-day notice, if it's not done to a T exactly correct, it just gets thrown out and you go back to square one. So it's for us, our jobs are to manage the buildings as best we can for our clients, to manage them as efficiently as possible. And there's just a tremendous amount of stuff we have to do to get to where we're moving 100 miles per hour in the most efficient way possible. And it just is constantly changing, which is sort of the challenge in itself.
Yeah, that's definitely a major challenge because you don't know what you're dealing with month to month with new regulations, so on and so forth. I definitely can see that. That's major in itself. How has this affected, though, your like growth and your growth strategy?
Well, we grew significantly during COVID, and I think one of the reasons was, again, I didn't grow up necessarily in the property management space. I began my career as a commercial broker, so selling apartment buildings in Los Angeles, and then I was on the asset management side, acquisition side, so sort of looking through the lens of an owner. And when we first started, and what we're really good at is focusing on that, the owner-minded managing the building. And during COVID, I think there was always sort of a low expectation of your property management company. But during COVID, those red flags were giant and huge. And we saw a lot of clients come our way that had their buildings with some of the largest companies, if not the largest companies here in Los Angeles, and choosing to shift course and hire us, a small boutique firm, because we brought sort of a different level of understanding, a different level of mindset, and whatnot. Obviously, we're going to do the same things from the basics of collecting the rent and paying the bills and whatnot, but it's really your property manager and your owner it's a true partnership. We have to really understand exactly what your business plan is, and then we have to be the ones to execute it. So when you had a huge property management company that may have all the systems in place, but they don't necessarily are on the same page from a business mindset standpoint from what the client is expecting, there becomes massive challenges. And we benefited from that as a company that was growing, wanting new business, wanting to roll up our sleeves and do the hard work. Now, you fast forward to today, we, in my opinion, finally have a really solid team in place, and we are growing. We probably add on average 2 to 3 buildings per month to the portfolio. But I would say that I am.
And you do commercial too, right? Correct?
We do a little commercial. Yeah, we just added a little retail building this week. It's mostly apartments. I would say 95% of our portfolio is apartments.
Okay.
And, what I was saying that now that we've sort of gone, we've been in business for a while now, and we've seen what works and what doesn't work from a client property management company standpoint. I am hyper focused on who we're doing business with versus just getting as many units as possible, because I have to run a business as well. We are a for-profit entity, and when we have clients that we may not see eye to eye on in terms of operations and process and procedure and whatnot, then it becomes not productive for anyone involved. So we, again, are just super, super hyper focused on who we're doing business with. And most of our business comes from clients referring us to other friends of theirs and whatnot that own properties, which is the best.
Those are usually the best kind, and having the right team in place is, as you've seen over the years, is just crucial.
Yeah,
because you could get the wrong teammate and things could crumble fast unless you're on top of it.
Yeah, and I think in our business, we get inundated with so many requests, so much comes to us, and you've got to make 100 decisions a day. And in our industry, I see a lot of management companies out there. They just need a body to sort of handle the work, and I've never subscribed to that. We don't just need a body. We are hiring adults who need to use their brain. And I overvalue methodically sweating the details and making a decision based on your experience and knowledge and the effort that you put in to make that decision, not just making a decision as fast as you can. And if we turn out to be wrong, I will be the first one in line to take the blame.
In so many levels, that's very forward thinking. Is probably one of the main reasons you are where you are and you are still growing. Well, you scratched on a thing. I was looking at some of your note, which I really loved, your principles with integrity and partnerships and innovation. And that's really with business today. If you're not constantly or consistently upgrading and getting the right teammates and the right people in the right positions and the right technology, unfortunately, in today's age, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, and we're our industry is a heavy people business. So there's a lot of bells and whistles out there, that sell you on, AI capabilities and so on and so forth. And we've implemented a few things here and there to improve our process. But at the end of the day, in our business, you need a human who makes the decision. There's a human to human interaction constantly between tenant, property manager, owner, etc. So we need, one, our process needs to be good, but we also need to be flexible with adjusting the process on a go-forward basis. And then we need the right team to be able to be flexible and adjust to market conditions or new laws that are put in place or nuances between one owner and another owner. So it's a very heavy people business.
What's working good for you right now?
What's working good? Our team is we're.
Keep saying that. I like that.
Yeah, it's all about, I grew up playing team sports, and I love the team aspect of this, and we have many different departments that have to work together for one goal, and communication in our business is number one. It has to be. So, and that's not just between tenant and property management company, it's between property manager and accountant, property manager and maintenance and accounting, and so on and so forth. So that, will never be perfect, but I'm happy with where the team is today. And I think we're really good at understanding clients' business plans and implementing those strategies to yield whatever success looks like for that specific client.
That was actually my next question. Like, what systems or processes have you put in place to organize and set that in place with the communication?
Yeah, I mean, it's different processes for every aspect of our job, right? And it's documenting it. It's having everybody buy off on what that process looks like. And then it's checking in constantly on what's working and what's not working. And if it's not working, we're done. We're done with it. We move on. We round table a lot about what's working and what's not working. And, I think we want to eliminate bottlenecks, and there's a lot of bottlenecks opportunities in our business. So one thing that we do pretty well at is, hiring a new property manager, for example, and they come and they might have a question on X, Y, or Z happening at a building. The easiest thing is for the most senior person just to answer the question, but there's a big training element to where they don't have to answer the question the next time. So then it's a conversation of like, okay, if you're the owner, what would you do? So there's a conversation about critically thinking about whatever the issue is. And then let's have a conversation about what the best plan may be. And I may have an opinion that may overrule everyone, but it may not be the best one. If it's not the best one, then we're not going to use it.
Okay. Have you implemented any like automation or tech tools to make a difference in kind of streamlining that communication or that process?
Yeah, so we use, our property management software that we use is called AppFolio. We use it to the highest capabilities that it possibly offers. And they've done a really good job of implementing and automating a lot of things, which we utilize. I mentioned earlier the number of AI tools that are out there in the property management space. We haven't necessarily signed off on a separate AI sort of process. There's a lot of opportunity there in that space. However, there's a lot of nuances that the AI systems just cannot solve for. For example, there's a big, maintenance request and process with AI, and on its surface, I would sign off tomorrow on it. But if somebody calls you and says, hey, my faucet's leaking or my garbage disposal is not working, AI would then, what's out there now, would receive the request, schedule the maintenance, and communicate with the tenant. Our property managers would pick up the phone, call the tenant, and said, hey, have you tried X, Y, and Z? And more times than you would think, it solves the issue.
It's a simple thing that could have been solved.
So do I invest in an AI thing because it's easier and I can eliminate staff and it may be easier for me, but is that better for the client? Because the client then, AI receives the request, maintenance goes out, they're getting a bill no matter what, even if you just had to hit the reset button on the garbage disposal, for example. So I'm not sure it's best for the client. That being said, there's a number of things that are already being implemented within our AppFolio system, which we utilize. So we're going to do whatever we can to maximize the efficiency of our operations, the building's operations, et cetera. But I haven't been convinced that these fancy, AI tools out there are the way to go yet.
Yeah, they're. And we're getting every month. We're getting some amazing new stuff. It's coming so fast now, and like you said, with a tenant calling up saying, my pipe, my faucet is leaking. Well, did you, turn this and solve? I mean, it's
some of the tools we're using is just like it would do that for you instead of having your guy calling, hey, well, did you try this, that, or that?
Yeah.
It's quickly.
Yeah.
It's staggering how fast things are going.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, the AI applications that I've seen are incredible, but aside from the example I gave, it's still pretty costly. Like it's really expensive for the number of units that we have. It's significant dollars to invest in this. So that for me is sort of in combination of the example I provided. The reason why we just haven't utilized, again, a third sort of party AI system into the mix. So who knows what the future, but we're on top of everything new and, amazing that comes out. We test it. We figure out if it would work. There's a cost benefit analysis to everything. And if it works, we'll implement it tomorrow.
That's why I love that we're having this conversation. We use this to help our other clients, and having somebody with your wealth of knowledge just to talk to, whether we go further or not, is invaluable to me. Where do you see yourself 6 to 12 months from now?
Well, we're continuing to grow. So we're, 3,500 units or so now. I don't have a magic sort of number in mind. Again, it's client focused and who those partners are. But, we're growing. We're open for business. In 6 to 12 months, I see us even larger than we are now. But that's sort of the focus. I mean, we're growing. We're focusing on our process, focusing on our people, and trying to improve, day in and day out.
I love the positivity. I love how, even though you have certain issues that you're trying to work through, nothing is stopping you from growing, and that's inspiring because you've got to keep going and try to find new and inventive ways to streamline your business so you could get to those goals you want to go. You keep your integrity and your partnerships and your team that you value intact, and that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been great hearing about your journey and the work you're doing with Drake Real Estate Group. For anyone who wants to learn more or get in touch with Bo, you can visit his website at www.drakereg.com. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.